again, it goes back to when you first wake up, what are you focusing on?
Yeah.
Are you focusing on feeding yourself with positivity and renewing your mind, or are you focused on getting sucked into the world, to a fake world of social media?
How do you want to start your morning? We're Sahara and Michaela, co-founders of Refine Marketing.
From corporate 9-to-5s to building and scaling multiple million-dollar companies in less than 5 years, we're not afraid to get into the nitty-gritty.
Giving you a raw and real look at what it takes to build and sustain a business.
This is Rise and Refine.
Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Rise and Refine podcast. We have a good one for you today.
Yeah, we do. It's a super exciting one. So we're going to jump right in because I feel like there's so many facets we can go into with the topic for this episode. And it's really going to be all about turning negativity into positivity.
Which is important.
Which is so important.
Yeah.
And it has shaped, it's definitely shaped the last 2 years for me in growing this business.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at not staying in a negative mindset myself. I haven't been one to be like that, but I know not everyone is. I have to get a lot of people out of it. I feel like it's my job. However, I can sometimes get down when it feels like negativity hits you all at once. I wish it could spread itself out.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I feel like you don't realize that maybe you're breeding negativity because it happens in such small little doses. Like little seeds are planted of well, you failed at one minor thing.
Yes.
And so that is planted and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be more hesitant to do that one thing again because
you let it hold
I
you
failed
back
the last time. And then it just trickles and it's a domino effect.
Yes.
So I think it feels like it's hitting all at once when in actuality, it's kind of just spread out over small moments of time.
For sure. So that's what we want to talk about is how to turn the negativity into positivity and how to look at negativity as healthy as we can. I think it's okay to get down sometimes. It's okay to feel things, but you definitely don't want negativity to keep you down too long, and you want to know how to get out of it.
Yeah, you don't want to live in that headspace because it really does. It alters everything about you, about your perspective on life, about how you are perceived by others. And so it plays a huge role, and you don't necessarily understand it or know it until you come to the other side of it.
Exactly. So Michaela found this commercial, or she saw this commercial when she was watching NFL, which I don't watch football, so I would have never seen it.
Okay, to preface, I am not the biggest football fan. I didn't really grow up with an affiliate team, whatever.
Gotcha.
But Casey, my boyfriend, is a huge Bucks fan. Yeah. We were watching this past Sunday, and I saw this Honda commercial, and it took me forever to find it again, and I didn't see it played again the entire Sunday night ticket or whatever it's called. So I found it finally and I wanted to play it because it was so impactful for me. It left me thinking wow, that is such a good message. It's called Unstoppable Dreams Honda commercial. It inspired me to rethink or reframe how I think about things.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Let me react. I have not seen this.
Okay.
This is a Honda commercial?
This is the last time you will see me at the top. My doubts will destroy my dreams. The more I seem to learn, the more I seem to lose. I want to carry on, but not today. This is the point I give up. But not today. I want to carry on. The more I seem to lose, the more I seem to learn. My dreams will destroy my doubts.
It's literally the exact opposite.
This is the last time you won't remember my name.
Isn't that chilling?
Yes. I love that. How they literally, you read it one way. And if you read it the complete backwards way, it's you're reading it negative, but then it's positive.
Yeah. It's you have the opportunity to stay in that slump.
Yeah.
And by you not staying in that slump and overcoming it, you go on to learn and achieve the unthinkable.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I saw it, it gave me chills. I was like, wow, that is such a good reminder.
What a good message from Honda.
Yeah.
To think of that and do that.
Good
props
job,
to their
Honda.
marketing team. I mean, props to the marketing team they have to put something out there, because I would never guess that was like a Honda commercial.
Hey, girlfriend.
What's wrong, baby?
We have a special guest joining us on today's episode.
Do you want to say anything? Can you say your name? Can you say hello, I'm Maeve? No. Okay, that's okay. All right. Well, we have
a
special guest. Yes. This is Maeve. Do you want to say anything, Maeve? She's being shy. She's at first we call like our podcast studio, not to interrupt negativity versus positivity.
Yeah, for real.
But you got to do what you got to do. If you watched our last episode, we talked about being a working mom. Here you go.
Here we are.
But that's okay, baby. But we talked, Maeve's always seen like the lights and camera. So we call it like a TV show because that's what she knows. She doesn't understand what a podcast is. Although in the car, she goes, Mommy, are you filming your podcast today?
Oh.
So I always used to ask her, do you want to be on the TV show? And she's always like, no. So her sitting here.
She's on the TV show.
Yeah, she's on the TV show. So... No, I definitely love that commercial because I feel like it definitely puts a different spin. And, I truly believe, I think a lot of negative things happen in life. But I think a lot of what people would say is negativity is just the way you view things.
Oh, definitely.
Right? And sometimes people can say something is negative. Right, Maeve? So I think it's a lot of, I think you have to decide between what's negative and how you truly view something.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's all about reframing your perspective.
Yes.
Because when we first started the TV show, when we started the podcast, we didn't have a ton of negativity come up of people saying that we couldn't do it or whatnot. That was more so when we started Refined. There was more uncertainty when we started the podcast because you and I had never started a podcast before. We had never done that. So I think for me, speaking for myself, it was a lot of fear-based thoughts of, well, what if it doesn't work? What if we aren't able to launch on time, which we didn't?
No, we didn't. And it turned out okay.
What if we don't get good quality guests and the content really doesn't go anywhere? I think I just was speaking a lot of fear over myself, or I let a lot of fearful thoughts in. Yeah. And so that planted the uncertainty for the podcast when in actuality, Sahara, on the other hand, and this is why we work well together, is you were very positive. You were like, I can do this. I know how to, I've done the research. I know what I'm doing. I know we can hire out for the videography aspect and the editing aspect. And we were ready to invest into it. Yeah. And so you had the positive mindset, which helped pull me out of my negative mindset. Yeah. And so I think that, like what you were saying, is reframing how you think about things. Of if I would have just spoken life over the podcast and been like, this is going to work. We are going to be successful in this, even if we don't know what we're doing. It's a trial and error process, and was positive behind my words. I think I would have been more confident in going into the first few episodes.
Yeah. And that's that is a good way to wrap up the two things we can get into with turning negativity into positivity. Okay. Which is one, truly negative things that happen and how to get past those. And two, the way you think about things that you perceive as negative, that really you should think about it in a positive light. So it's really you putting negative things onto your life when it's not necessary.
Interesting.
That's how I see negativity, or those two different paths. Did something negative happen that was out of my control that just sucks and you gotta get past it? Right. Or am I causing the negativity? Right? Yeah. So there's two things. So in that case, you are causing the negativity. Right. So what caused you to change and look at it more positively? How'd you get out of it?
I think a lot of it for me was the fact that you were so positive. So it was surrounding myself with people who had belief in me, even when I didn't have that belief in myself. And so that speaks to the community that you surround yourself with, right?
Just
the rooms that you put yourself in. Yeah, because I think that's a huge aspect. If you are putting yourself around people who aren't fueling you, who aren't supporting you, who aren't speaking life over you, and instead they're just draining you. We all have those people.
Yeah.
And I've had to actually cut a lot of those people out that just drain your energy, and it just like they just suck
those
it out of
people
you.
like you're around them and you feel exhausted after.
Yes.
Yes.
Like those time sucker people.
Yeah. Time sucker people.
they just aren't worth it. They aren't worth your time and your mental energy. And so I was thankful that I had placed myself within the room of other people who had that belief in me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge tip is look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Are they time sucker people?
Yes.
Or are they fueling you and actually lifting you up and filling your cup?
I'm not a naturally Debbie Downer person. I'm actually very positive. And it's because I'm almost scared to be in a negative mindset because it really affects my day to day. Like I don't want to, obviously I'm not perfect. None of us are. And we all get in negative mindsets, but I've gotten to where I can really figure out when I'm in one and like being able to fix it like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I recognize it. And it's like, I can't do that because when I'm in a negative mindset, I feel like everything just like goes, like my mindset's bad. My production goes down. Spending time with my daughter, my family, it's not as enjoyable because I'm in that mindset. So I know I have to consciously think about it and get myself out of it. So I think turning negativity into positivity on the mindset side is step one, is you have to be self-aware that if you are a negative person, you have to recognize when you're being negative and be able to turn that around and have things. And so there's different, ways that people can get out of negativity and turn it around. You just talked about being around other people who kind of call it out and be like, no, here's the positive outlook. This is what you need to understand. So that's one way, and that worked for you.
Yeah.
For me, one thing that works is thinking about the positive things in my life I have going on and reminding myself to be grateful for them. So then the negative doesn't look so bad. It's like me and Christina,
it's like a psychological.
It is. Yes. And I didn't realize it was like a self-aware, like mindset switch thing that I did, like almost like a skill set that I was doing until I talked about it with Christina. And we interviewed somebody recently for Embry Group.
Okay.
And have I talked about this yet?
I don't think so.
Okay. She was telling us about everything she had just gone through in her life. It was a lot.
Wow.
I'm not gonna put her life out there, but it was just
Trauma
a lot. We kind of got it out of her, to be honest.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's the whole point of an interview.
You know what? We hired her and she's fantastic. When she left that interview, I looked at Christina and said, man, I was feeling kind of down today and negative about some things in my life. But I'm honestly feeling more positive and grateful for my life right now.
Yeah.
And so
just put it into perspective.
Yeah. And I told Christina, I said, sometimes when I get down, I'll just think about like her and her story and other people and what they're going through and, just being grateful for it. And it helps me. Christina goes, oh, I do that too. She's like, if I'm feeling down, I'll think of like positives and how people can have it worse and they have the worst days. And it gets me out of that negative mindset too.
Well, that's why I do the gratitude journaling in the morning. That's the whole point of it. Because unlike you, I haven't always been a naturally positive person.
Really?
In my opinion. I don't know. My close friends, family might completely think otherwise and be like, you are full of shit right now. I have
Are
no
you being
idea.
negative with yourself, thinking you're naturally negative?
No, I think that a few years ago, I was a naturally negative person. And now I would say that I try my best to reframe my mindset if I go there.
Gotcha.
So what I mean by that is a couple years ago, I was going through some really rough patches. If you've listened to a couple of our other episodes, I touch on it way more. But during that time, I was just like a Debbie Downer, really. Like I was just like, woe is me, victim mentality. And I mean, I had a lot of shit happen in my life very quickly, very fast. And it took a couple different things, but it took relocating, getting myself around big dreamers, people that had larger than life dreams, had what I wanted in life. But it also took me going back and recentering my faith, but also getting into gratitude journaling every single morning, like you're talking about. And that
being
has
grateful
helped
each
me
morning for things. Like you write down like talk people through that if they wanted to do that as like a skill set to stay out of negativity. So you have an actual physical journal.
I have a physical journal and I have to physically write. It's very therapeutic for me. It's almost like it's like my way of brain dumping and sorting through my thoughts and my feelings. I feel I think it's called being an empath, but I feel very deeply.
Yes.
Like if you are feeling something heavy, I will feel that.
Yes.
Like if I see somebody crying, I'm going to start crying.
Gotcha.
And so,
which is where we're so opposite. If I see someone crying, I'm going to turn around. Not that I don't feel bad for them. I just don't like crying. I avoid it.
Yeah, that's just the way that I am. And so, I have set a time for myself. It's part of my morning routine. And every single morning I will get up, I will get my Bible and my gratitude journal, go make some coffee, get a small little breakfast, and go out to the porch. If it's nice, we're getting into the colder ones. So
yeah,
go where you want. But, for me, that's like my safe place. And then I just sit and reflect on the past day, reflect on the week, and just remind myself what I am thankful for, and intentionally write that out because it gets you centered on what is good in your life for that day.
It starts your day positive.
Exactly. It sets your day up for success in my eyes. Yeah. And it has greatly helped in transforming my mind and my thought process.
It's funny you say that. Did you ever have it's called like the 5-minute journal? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. I've had several friends that have had it. I haven't personally had it.
Gotcha. So before I had a child,
okay,
I would wake up at 5:30 a.m. Now I can't for the life of me. It's just different. And I actually, funny enough, used to have a 5-minute journal, and I would do that.
Okay.
I've never been one to really journal much, though. In general, that was just something I tried.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it a lot. I did enjoy just the morning peace and being up that early. So I feel like it was definitely a good positive way to start my day. Like there's nothing worse than waking up your day with something I feel like I need to get rid of as a habit. And I don't know if you're the same. Okay. To stay away from negativity is I am really bad at opening my phone up the first thing when I wake up. That's so bad. Because you don't want to get on social media and the first thing you do is see something negative.
Exactly.
But I'm really bad at that.
I'm also struggling with that a little bit. And I've actually had to set parameters on Refined, like our Instagram accounts and the podcast TikTok, because I will do the same thing, or I've caught myself doing the same thing, especially over the last month. And I'm not really sure why that is. I think I just need to do some soul searching on why that is.
I'm just excited to wake up and like work. So
really,
like literally, I'm so excited to wake up and start my day and be like, what are we going to do today? And like, you know,
I just don't want to get caught in a doom scroll first thing in the morning.
I know.
That, again, it goes back to when you first wake up, what are you focusing on? Yeah. Are you focusing on feeding yourself with positivity and renewing your mind? Or are you focused on getting sucked into the world, to a fake world of social media?
How do you want to start your morning? So another thing on the negative side, negative mindset side, that kind of can relate to this too, is I was talking to a friend who watches the news a lot. And she was like, oh my gosh, it just puts me in a really bad negative mindset because they only show negative things on the news.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's like, I struggle with wanting to be aware of what's going on, but also with just the negativity the news can bring right now and social media.
Yeah.
And so she's had to like almost stop watching the news. And I told her, I said, you know, that's honestly why I definitely stay away from specific areas online, because there is so much negativity right now. Like, it's not just about who's in your life, but what you're watching and putting in front of you can really change your outlook on stuff too.
Definitely. Yeah. What you feed yourself, you're going to pour out. And I heard this analogy and I thought it was so neat. So if you have a sponge, like we are sponges as human beings, you can just imagine yourself as a little sponge. So if you're cleaning a table and you go over here and you pick up a news article where somebody died tragically, or you go over here and you pick up how this person
just ran a marathon and they worked They ran a marathon. To me, that's super positive. How the
Yeah.
hell did you do that? Because I can't run to save my life.
So yeah, they go over here and you find somebody that
Yeah.
ran a marathon and
Yeah.
they're super excited
Yeah.
and, you know, they're chasing after a
Yeah.
huge dream of maybe running an ultra marathon.
Yeah, it's super
and going-
motivating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but where I was going with this in the first place is we're sponges as people. So
Yes.
whatever you absorb, you're going to squeeze out
Yeah.
when times get tough.
Yeah.
And so if you're absorbing a bunch of bad and just misinformation or negativity, then when times get tough and you are squeezed out and you are stretched, you're going to squeeze out all of that negativity. But when you are picking up good and you're feeding your mind and you're renewing your mind and you're pouring into yourself and you're putting yourself in the right rooms and you get stretched and you get squeezed out, that's what you're going to exude.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
And so that's how I've thought about myself of like, if I'm consuming something, whether it's social media, whether it's the news, I'm like, okay, is this feeding me or hurting me?
Yeah.
And if it's hurting me, I am working on, because I
Yeah.
am not perfect at
Yeah.
it right now, but I am working on making that internal switch of, okay, I need to just shut this off and remove
Yeah.
this from my day.
Yeah. It's funny. All I can think about as you brought up the sponge is how good you are at illustrations. And now I really want you to create a sponge, and I want like t-shirts or hats or something. It can either say like, reminder, I'm a sponge, or like be a sponge or something like that.
Oh my gosh,
Wouldn't that be so cute?
I think that might be kind of cute.
Yeah, right. So, but that's so true. Like that the big half of negativity is just the way that you look at things and what you
Yeah.
surround yourself with. The same with like what you eat, and if you exercise, like we both talk about this, the more we exercise, the clearer our minds are, which makes them more positive.
Right, exactly. And I think there's another piece too that we haven't touched on. And I know you're not big into this, but I have been, and I actually need to get back to this, is affirmations.
Yes. Because I
Because-
don't need them and you do.
But I think you do need, I think anybody needs affirmations.
But the thing is, I talk myself up to myself. Like I tell
then
myself
you already are
affirm-
doing affirmations.
Yeah, like it feels nice when people say nice things to you, but I don't need it to like be positive, I guess. Does that make sense?
No, that does make sense.
But some
Yeah.
people do.
What do you think mine is then?
I think yours is probably words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's changed a little bit because I feel like I'm way more quality time.
I was going
now.
to guess that would be your second one.
Yeah. Quality time is huge for me, but definitely words of affirmation. I haven't taken it since, it's probably been like 5 years since
Yeah,
college.
we should. Can we please save it for the next episode?
Yes.
Yes.
We will
Okay,
do that,
and
and we'll
do
talk
it.
on
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
Different
'Cause
love
it's
languages.
important. Love languages can be used in leadership, for friendships, with spouses, for children.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but it's important to know what you want as well.
So that you can communicate.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, words of affirmation. So talk about that. You feel like it helps you stay in a positive mindset?
Well, I think with everything that the way it is right now, you know, we just live in a very volatile social media scene at the moment, which is fine. I don't think that's ever going to really go away. I think that, yeah, I just don't think it's ever really going to go away.
It's not.
And so there's always going to be haters out there. There's always going to be people questioning you. And you just kind of have to take it and turn a blind eye and understand that they are probably lashing out due to their own insecurities. And that is something that I have had to learn. I'm going to ask you a question. And I think I know the answer.
Oh gosh. Is
But
it like
it goes
a test?
back. It goes back to affirmations.
Okay.
And how I used to think and how
Okay.
I've had to reframe my
Okay.
mindset. So if someone told you you'd be running a team of 40 plus agents, own a property management company, realtor coaching company, and co-own Refined with me 5 years ago, would you have believed them?
Yes.
So if somebody had told me 5 years ago that I'd co-own Refined,
Yeah.
I would have literally laughed and said like, I wish.
Really? That's so funny because my issue sometimes I put on myself is that I think that I can do whatever the heck I want. And I like, seriously, I think
That's good.
but is it? Because sometimes
so.
I also I don't want to be negative because we're not trying to be here, but on the negative side of that, it puts so much pressure on me that I'm so scared if I don't achieve things that I failed myself.
Then that's a why.
You know, it's a big why in my life.
It's a huge why.
It's a huge why. But yeah, no, I really think I could do anything. And I think that anyone can do anything. I think it's just like, what are you willing to put in to make it happen? Right. And so that's crazy that you didn't think that. But I will say there's two parts to that. Yes, I believe that, but I still get the feeling of I can't believe where I'm at. And I feel so grateful.
Yeah.
Not that I never thought I could do it. It's more of I can't believe now that I did it.
Right.
And that I get to be blessed with all this.
Right.
So, you get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying there. Yeah. And I genuinely wouldn't have believed you because I had such low self-esteem and I had such low confidence in myself. And I forgot how to dream, I guess. I forgot how to dream for myself. I just didn't ever think it was possible for me to be an entrepreneur. And I mean, my parents set me up for success. I've talked about that a good bit. And every opportunity that we wanted, they did their very best to provide for my sister and I. But when it came to work, I don't know why I thought I wasn't capable of doing. Well, I do know. Excuse me. I just let so many people tell me who I was and what I could and could not do.
Yes.
That I believed them and I believed those lies. And it took me probably a good 2 years after getting myself out of a relationship, moving cities, and re-surrounding myself with the right people, pouring into myself through reading books, through listening to podcasts, through gaining a mentor in life. I also have a Christina, so funny enough. And then obviously like our friendship, our relationship. And so, it took me a good 2 years to refigure and reprogram my mind.
I was told the same thing by.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's like, you'll never be a number one, like, business owner. Like, you need to, like, work for someone else and be the number two always.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it. And so, I say yes to your question you asked me now, but it's not like that I've always been like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And, like, that's why I wanted to be super transparent is I feel like people can look at somebody and say like somebody comes to the refined page and they see us on there and I've heard people tell us like, oh my gosh, you guys have it figured out. You're so put together. Honey, no, we are not. We are not put together. We do not have it figured out.
No.
We are struggling most days.
Yes.
And we're just trying to figure it out amongst everybody else. And if you are struggling figuring out what your dream looks like or even figuring out how to dream again, that's what I would just say. I would say, learn how to speak affirmations over yourself and write out any fear that you have. So if you had a limiting belief telling you that, well, you're shy, you don't do good in front of the camera because you're shy. I was told that. Yeah. And so when we started to refine and you told me I needed to start putting myself on camera and become more of who our brand is about, that caught me so off guard. And so
because you thought you couldn't,
and I believed that.
Mentally believed, well, I won't ever be good on camera, so why are you asking me to do this?
Because people had spoken that over me and I allowed myself to believe it.
I want to talk about that for a second. What made you believe their opinion about you was so right? I guess because where I have always been is like, I don't really care about people's opinions. Like, I just kind of, does that make sense? Like, almost to a fault now where I really don't give a shit what people say. Yeah. And I've always kind of been like that. What do you think was it that those people were saying that caused you to truly believe them?
I'm pulling up a note right now on my phone because it's so funny that you say this, because I have to go look back at this so often. And I'll just lead with this, is the fact that when you are a kid, you're a sponge. You're absorbing everything that is around you, your environment, the way that people speak, you know, your parents' relationship. I had a very fortunate childhood, and I was, like I said, given a lot growing up, and the opportunities were there. However, like we're a very critical family, and I'm sorry, mom and dad, but we are a very critical family, and we are aware
Your parents,
of that.
I found from what I've learned, are super honest, which I love.
Yes, we're a very honest family, and that comes with calling you out on your bullshit a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Now, when I was growing up, and I think I've come to realize that had more of an impact on me than I might have thought.
Yeah. So are you
Everything.
saying, like, if they told you something about you, you almost took it as a fact?
Kind of.
You were like, okay, well, that must be true. I agree.
Right. And when you internalize that and you hear it multiple times, and I'm not just saying for my parents, I'm saying, you know, sports teams, coaches, any interaction that you have in your formative years growing up through middle school, high school, you are being formed into the person, the young adult that you become. And I was naturally a little bit more reserved. I was more of an introvert. Until I got to know you.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I had teachers tell me, I had coaches tell me, you know, that I was shy and I wasn't capable, which led to the idea of I not being capable of being in front of the camera. Nobody really wanted to hear what I wanted to say or had to say, or like nobody wanted to know my experience with my toxic relationship and how I came out of it. So it's not necessarily
that you cared about the opinions of what people said. It's just the way you've always talked to yourself is what I'm hearing.
Pretty much. Yeah. And it was shaped by my environment. And so I was told this, and we actually recently posted it on Refined as just one of our Take What You Need posts. And it's this: you have to deprogram your mind of the limiting beliefs living in your head before you can open up your mind for positive mentorship and reprogramming to accept success beliefs.
That's good.
And I firmly believe that, because you are in life exactly where you chose to be.
Yeah.
Based off of your thoughts and your actions.
Yes. Yes.
And that's where I go back to affirmations, is I had to deprogram myself of that limiting
telling
belief
yourself those
that
affirmations.
I was shy.
Yeah.
I had to reprogram myself and speak affirmations over myself that I am not shy. I was created for this. If I didn't have if the Lord knew that I didn't have the capacity, I wouldn't have this dream to own my own business, you know? And so I think that it's a lot larger than just yourself.
Yeah. It's, you know, what you're feeding yourself, truly mentally wise, to stay into a positive mindset. And it's so big for business to be a better parent, to be a better friend. But it is big. And so hopefully we gave some tips and stuff on like getting out of that negative mindset. And
hopefully that was not just a brain dump, because it's hard to talk about that kind of stuff. And because it is very vulnerable for me, and I'm learning how to be more vulnerable in that, because it is a part of my past and it's not the prettiest part.
Yeah, so that's okay. Well, so now I want to jump into like the second half of negativity and turning it into positivity, which is when truly negative things happen.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, it's life. Negative things are going to happen. For example, let's just talk about maybe a common situation, like a client decides to not go with you. I think that's a good way that anybody could relate with, because most of us are business owners. I feel like you personally took it so hard in the beginning compared to how you take it now. I was the same way. Okay. Because like we talked about earlier, when I'm almost like have a little bit of ego in the sense of I can do anything, like why would you not go with me? Like, do you know who I am? Like, I'm going to be the best for you. Like, I was like, why do they not like me? Yeah. I don't understand. I'm the best. Like, that's the way I looked at it.
I took it as a personal attack.
Yes. So I think that is one, like, that's a negative thing that happens.
Yeah.
That's not even a mindset thing. That just sucks. When you, give it your all, you give your sales pitch, you have a product, you're like, and they're like, well, no, I'm not choosing you. That's a negative thing that can happen. So how do we turn something like that into a positivity?
For me, it took taking action and practice.
Yeah.
Like I was terrified to do our first ever discovery call.
Yeah.
Even though we knew them and they were a personal referral, it was so scary for me to get on camera and have a conversation about my own business.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It pushed me outside my comfort zone. And so we ended up landing that client, but like the 3 clients or prospective leads, I should say, because they never turned into clients. After that we did discovery calls with, we were so new in the business that they trusted somebody with more experience naturally.
Yeah.
Totally
it was negative to us because we were like, well, why didn't they choose us?
Right. I get that now, but in that moment, oh my gosh, I was so down. I think I teared up over one of them. I was like, this isn't going to work. This is like, I'm not cut out for this. I don't know what I'm doing. And I just allowed those thoughts to pour in. And this is where surrounding yourself with the right people with positive mindsets who know you and who know how to pull you out of something really hones in, because I had Christina, I had Casey, and I had you. Yeah. Speaking life into me of like, no, you're meant to do this. Keep going.
It's okay. Clients are going to tell you no.
Yes. This is part of business ownership.
The way that I personally turn losing clients or any negative thing like that when someone tells you no in your business to positivity is I look at it as, okay, it is a small failure. Now, what can I do differently to see if there's anything I could improve to turn that into positivity? So I'm always thinking, I'm always asking for feedback, where it's like, and we did that from day one, where if we lose a client, we immediately message them and say, can you give us feedback on why? Because we want it.
And we actually expanded our offering and understood what clients were actually wanting in this
because
space
of it.
Because of that.
And we got better at our calls and what we offer.
Yeah.
So in a sense, by getting told no to those clients, we gained more.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
And so there's I always say, like, there is I'm not one to normally be like, it is what it is. Like, things will happen for a reason, because I'm like, no, I'll make it happen. But when it comes to very specific things in life that can be a negative, it may feel like a negativity at the time and very negative and like it can put you down. But I bet you like 6 months or a year from that thing happening, it might actually be a positive thing that it did.
Oh, yeah. It allowed me to make mistakes and gave me room to grow.
Yes. I think it is hard when negative things happen. Like, we live in the moment and in the present, and we don't really, like, in that moment, we're not going to immediately become positive, be like, well, in 6 months it'll be okay because maybe I'll learn.
Right.
I think as long as you're mindful to ask for feedback in those types of situations and to really think about how that negative could affect your life in a positive way and just sit there and kind of reflect on it, it may help you feel better. Okay, so let's go through some questions that we got about negativity.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Yes. So, how do you deal with negative comments on social media? Because my answer is quick. I delete them because there's no place for them on any of my social media.
So when we first got started, I would respond or screenshot them to say hey and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said this. Why would they say this? Blah, 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 blah. And like go on a rampage. But now I just don't even give it life.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that you could do with negative comments is respond to them.
Oh, really? I mean, it's
I feel
free
like
engagement.
It's throwing for the engagement. I feel like it's throwing fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
Like what people who post negative comments or negative things want attention and want to know that you read it. So when you respond to them, it makes them feel good that you read it and that it bothered you.
Yeah.
So that's why I refuse to.
That's why I just don't even give it life now.
Yeah.
I don't even, thankfully we don't receive a ton of that.
So that's how we deal with it. Okay. So the second question says, I'm a solopreneur. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
yes. Okay, so I'm a solopreneur, so not really surrounded by other people. My business or my family also does not understand what I'm doing. So I don't necessarily have a lot of positive people around me. How do I find positive people to help support me?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I would say start pouring into yourself. So read books. Atomic Habits. The Mountain Is You.
There's a book with a badass in it that's really good too. How to Be a Badass.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I actually have that book. It's very good.
Yes.
So I would say start reading books that are going to help you reframe your mindset. And then dive into podcasts, you know, instead of filling your mind with filling your mind with scrolling or doom scrolling or maybe like Spotify, Apple, whatever. Listen to a podcast, something that is going to help you reframe your mindset or grow in your business in some capacity.
Yeah.
And then reach out to people on social media that
Even
are in your
people
space.
who are, in your space that you can
Feel
reach
free
out.
to reach out to us too. We would love to chat with you. And I know that there's a couple people that we've actually met through social media, but who have become in real life friends, and we meet up, we have dinner, and we just chat about all things business and life and are starting to walk through life together. So,
you know, find people who are in your same space and like seriously reach out to them because they probably need someone too, and interact with them that way and purposely make effort to put people into your life versus waiting for them to come, because sometimes that takes work too.
Well, if you guys like this episode, please subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. Send us a message on Instagram. You can find us at @refinemarketing_ or at Rise and Refine Podcast. See you guys next Monday. Hope you guys have a great week.
And if you guys agree with me on the sponge sweatshirts or t-shirts, put some pressure on Michaela. Tell her to make them.
Oh my gosh, I think
see you next Monday.